I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to dop a stone for doing lapidary work. You really need that handle to be able to polish, so I'll show you how to do it.
To keep my shit straight, I definitely need to, I'm gonna steal that water no one sees.
I got it on film.
Oh, curses.
Oh my God, you got my singing too?
I think so.
Yes, I love it. So, you know what we've been doing with Donna here in the studio. I won't go into deep depth, but basically we're doing some custom cutting of gemstones. I thought this was beryl. We now have an alternate opinion that it may be topaz, but either way, we have a stone. And what we were talking about is that there's certain little things you can do. You can like hold it and sand it to polish. Generally speaking though, you have to make a handle to be able to hold on to it and sand and polish and do whatever you're gonna do. So we use something called dop wax, which is here's some on here, I'll show you a stick of it. It's a type of sealing wax. Would you do me a favor, grab me a couple of grab me the little tuna dish there and the stick. Thank you very much. Perfect. Some people like to use shellac, like there's a few different things you can use, but basically it's wax that melts at a relatively low temperature. Now, the important thing to know about dop wax is it will not stick to anything that's wet or very, very smooth or cold. It will stick to anything warm and porous, which perfectly describes the state of your fingers. So you never heat up the dop and touch it with your fingers unless you dip your fingers in water, or it will burn the fuck out of you because it clings, you know? So it's a particularly not charming kind of burn, if you know what I mean. So usually what I do is I work over a steel block because it won't stick to the steel block. Now, the stick can be a nail, it can be a chopstick, it can be a dowel. It honestly doesn't particularly matter. We usually just use like nails. So you see this shape right here, we obviously use this for a dop already. I'm just gonna warm this up and like shape it a little bit and we'll use it for yours. But normally you would literally like heat this up a little bit and gather some up on the end, and that's that about that.
Oh, sorry.
So are either beryl or topaz, you know, because basically she's doing custom cutting, you know, she's doing a sculpture out of a stone. We're not trying to get like a round or an, you know, or whatever. And I'm assuming for the time being, we're going to dop on the flat side. Correct. And we'll work on the other facets.
Correct.
Okay, so now that you definitely not using a torch that big. Funny, but wrong. Even I would have to say, that's a little overkill. You don't really want to like light your dop wax on fire. It may happen from time to time, blow it out, but you don't want it smoking, burning, stinking. You want to try as much as possible just to kind of heat it gently.
Quick question, does it heat as quickly as the pitch wax?
Interesting question. Yes, but I think even lower. Okay. We'd have to do a comparison because pitches melt at different temperatures, but it is low melting. Yeah. Probably lower than some pitches, but it does have that in common. It has that sort of relatively low melting point. Do not touch it when it's warm with your bare hands, or it will stick to you and burn like a motherfucker. Yeah. Okay? So I'm gonna like gently usually you soften it a little bit and then you can just shape it on the steel block because it won't stick to the steel block. So I'm going to start by creating, you know, which we almost pretty much had already, but kind of like a little flat area there. If I needed to shape it with my fingers, I would just dip it in the water. Because the thing of it is too, remember, like once you stick this on here, you can't have an enormous amount of it blobbing everywhere. You need to stay relatively local or else you're not going to be able to grind. Yep. So you don't just want like, you know what I mean, on the ends. It's my descriptive
like
term.
ectoplasm.
Yeah, you don't want that. So here's the thing, in order to get this to stick to your stone needs to be warmed up a little bit.
Got it.
Now, most stones can deal with a little gentle warming, not all. So if you're doing a stone and like you don't know, stop and consult Mr. Google, you know what I mean, about usually most, I mean like an opal, no. Most stones, little gentle heating, you put the dock wax on, it's fine.
Do you heat as well to get the dock off?
Actually, it's
Or you
much
pop it
easier to
off?
do the opposite. You put it in the freezer and get it really cold, and then usually you can just pop it right off.
Okay.
You could heat it to get it off, but it's cleaner to use the cold. So, and when I say heat your stone, I do not mean put the torch on the stone and hold it there and get it like you're soldering. This is like little gentle warming.
Can I touch it?
Carefully.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be hot, it just
Yeah.
needs to be a little warm.
Yeah. Got it. But
Okay.
it was like finger temperature warm.
Excellent. Then I'm gonna heat this gently-ish and like drip a little bit on and then press it on there.
Oh, that's so
Okay, because usually once you've got a little drop, you can kind of do this kind of a thing. You see what I mean? Where you kind of like heat it a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
And gently spread it across at least a surface. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to cover the whole thing, but because this obviously is also a kind of an irregular thing. So we don't have necessarily like a central plane. So I'm just trying to sort of kind of do something centrally located-ish. You know what I mean? And because the thing of it is, you can't just put a drip down on there and stop and you're done. Like you have to like warm the stone, drip. Usually then I'll pick it up gently and lovingly, sort of get it. Now this stone has no true level, but I've picked like a level so that you can work on all these angles easily. And we could always redop when we needed to get underneath. Like, so to me, that made sense. Because that will give me good control and access to all of those facets on top. Okay, and just touch it with your finger, with your wet finger, by the way. And you can just feel it's still a little bit warm, you know? So usually I either then stick it in the water bowl or just leave it sit for a minute or two. You just want everything to come back to room temperature. And then you've got a lovely handle and you can tilt and you can polish and you can, you know, you can use that on the sandpaper, you can use it on the polishing wheels. We do this when we're polishing and cutting stones. You do this when you're polishing enamels. You know, it's really like you can't hand hold this stuff forever. You're just not going to be able to like, you know, get into those little areas that you want to. Okay, so it's very simple to do. And as long as you don't touch it when it's warm with bare fingers, you will be happy.
Awesome.
Would you like to hear my cautionary tale from when I was an apprentice?
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, back when I was an apprentice, believe it or not, I used to wear pantyhose.
Oh no. Oh,
And
no.
I was heating this
I know where this
and did it over my lap. Another classic mistake. And a little drip of it went down and hit my leg and basically burns right through the pantyhose and just sticks to your leg. And yes, it was only a small area, but when I say it hurts like a motherfucker, I speak from extremely deeply personal experience. So don't let that happen to you.
Yeah.